something that I'm obsessed with lately is this notion of overt versus covert contracts, right? There are overt contracts where you exchange work for money or you exchange any number of things in an overt way. But then there are covert contracts, and those take on a very different form and always lead to, in my belief, bad things.
Well, how much of human and chimp relationships are overt versus covert?
Well, here's one thing that we know is true. Dogs and humans, the dog to human relationship is 100% overt. They don't manipulate you. Now, you could say they do in the sense that they learn that if they look a certain way or roll on their back, they get food. Mm-hmm. But there's no banking of that behavior for a future date where then they are going to undermine you and take your position. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in that sense, dogs can be a little bit manipulative in some sense. But now, okay, so overt contract would be, we both want to do some work together. We're going to make some money. You get X percentage, I get X percentage. Overt. Covert contract, which is, in my opinion, bad, always bad, would be, we're going to do some work together. You're going to get a percentage of money. I'm going to get a percentage of money. Could look just like the overt contract. But secretly, I'm resentful that I got the percentage I got. So what I start doing is covertly taking something else. What do I take? Maybe I take the opportunity to jab you verbally every once in a while. Mm-hmm. Maybe I take the opportunity to show up late. Mm-hmm. Maybe I take the opportunity to get to know one of your coworkers so that I might start a business with them. That's covert contracting. Mm-hmm. And you see this sometimes in romantic relationships. One person, we won't set the male or female in any direction here and just say, I'll make you feel powerful if you make me feel desired. Okay, great. There's nothing explicitly wrong about that contract if they both know and they both agree. But what if I'll do that, but I'll have kids with you so you feel powerful. You'll have kids with me so I feel desired, but secretly I don't want to do that. Or one person says, I don't want to do that, or both don't. So what they end up doing is saying, okay, so I expect something else. I expect you to do certain things for me, or I expect you to pay for certain things for me. Covert contracts are the signature of everything bad. Overt contracts are the signature of all things good.
Yeah.
And I think about this a lot because I've seen a lot of examples of this. Like anyone, we participate in these things, whether or not we want to or not. And the thing that gets transacted the most is, well, I should say the things that get transacted the most are the overt things. You'll see money, time, sex, property, whatever it happens to be, information. But what ends up happening is that when people, I believe, don't feel safe, they feel threatened in some way. Like they don't feel safe in a certain interaction. What they do is they start taking something else while still engaging in the exchange. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing about human nature that's bad, it's that feature. Why that feature? Or is it a bug or a feature, as you engineers like to say? Mm-hmm. I think it's because we were allocated a certain extra amount of prefrontal cortex that makes us more sophisticated than a dog, more sophisticated than a chimpanzee, but they do it too. And it's because it's often harder to deal with, in the short term, to deal with the real sense of this is scary, this feels threatening, than it is to play out all the iterations. It takes a lot of brain work. You're playing chess and Go simultaneously, trying to figure out where things are going to end up, and we just don't know. So it's a way, I think, of creating a false sense of certainty. But I'll tell you, covert contracts, the only certainty is that it's going to end badly. The question is, how badly? Conversely, overt contracts always end well. Always. The problem with overt contracts is that you can't be certain that the other person is not engaging in a covert contract. You can only take responsibility for your own contracting.
Well, one of the challenges of being human is looking at another human being and figuring out their way of being, their behavior, which of the two types of contracts it represents, because they look awfully the same on the surface. Right. And one of the challenges of being human is the decision we all make is, are you somebody that takes a leap of trust, and trust other humans and are willing to take the hurt? Or are you going to be cynical and skeptical and avoid most interactions until they over a long period of time prove your trust?
Yeah, I never liked the phrase "history repeats itself" when it comes to humans, because it doesn't apply if the people or the person is actively working to resolve their own flaws. I do think that if people are willing to do dedicated introspective work, go into their subconscious, do the hard work, have hard conversations, and get better at hard conversations, something that I'm constantly trying to get better at, I think people can change, but they have to want to change.
It does seem like deep down, we all can kind of tell the difference between overt and covert. Like we have a good sense. I think one of the benefits of having this characteristic of mine where I value loyalty, I've been extremely fortunate to spend most of my life in overt relationships. And I think that creates a really fulfilling life.